All right. You were going to do it.
You thought I was going to do it.
You took a breath right when I took a breath.
I know.
Welcome to Not Suitable for Adults, the podcast where the shows and the things that we talk about are for kids, and yet we're the grown-ups.
Well, usually.
We're the grown-ups, or usually the things we talk about are for kids?
Usually we're the grown-ups.
I see. Oh man, it's been a little bit again.
Yeah, we've had I'm done making excuses at this point.
You know what's weird is, all during most of the pandemic. So most of the existence of this podcast was during the year that time wished it could forget.
Sure. 2020. It hasn't stopped.
And we recorded.
We can't stop not stopping.
I know, never stop, never stopping. But we barely missed an episode in 2020, and 2021 has been like...
We didn't have anything to do in 2020.
2021 has been a minefield of busyness and sickness and technology issues.
Right.
And so we're sorry.
Yeah, I think we were sick 2 weeks ago, and then we had actually family visiting last week. So it's just been, a
whirlwind. But thank you for coming back and listening, dear listener.
You already know we're not going to be here every week.
But we want to be.
We're like a deadbeat dad.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Sorry.
I don't know if that's what we are. Anyway. So yeah, we're here now, and we're going to talk about some things that we watched together. This will be coming a little bit later in the episode, but we finally broke down. We finally got HBO Max.
I don't think it was much of a breakdown, though, was it?
We broke down with the weight of the. We did it for you, really. Not even for. We did it for our loyal tens of fans.
I was going to say, who did we do it for?
We did it for the tens of fans out in the world. Anyway, we did finally get HBO Max, which meant that we could watch a couple of the things that you can only watch there. And we'll talk about those in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about something else first. One is about how old we are.
I'm not that old.
No, neither of us are that old. Honestly, we're in our mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that I had two thoughts recently. I told you about one of them. I had two thoughts recently that made me feel like the oldest person in the world.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to remember the second one now offhand. It's been a second since I had the thought. But here was one. Actually, I told you about one the other day. Do you remember what I told you? I said something. I was like, that made me feel really old. That thought I had just now.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, here's one of them. I'll see if I can remember the second one. I remember one of them. I'm trying to remember the second one off the top of my head now. I had it a minute ago. See, okay, there's the third one. Now, there's proof that I'm getting old.
Oh, because you forgot immediately?
Things are just flying out of my head. Here's one. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with kids shows or anything. It's just that I realized how I was listening to another podcast, and they were doing an ad for Rothy's shoes, which we are not sponsored by, and we're not doing an ad for. But if you're familiar with them, so they started offering men's shoes, and the type of shoe they offer is a loafer. Okay. And I was like, I had this thought. I was like, when I was a kid, a loafer was like a really old man type of shoe.
Right. When you just said loafer, I thought of old man in a suit.
Right.
Going to business.
But I was like, but you know what? Loafers are actually really comfortable. And then I went, oh no. Uh-oh. It's just because I'm 35. Now I'm old. And yeah. And now I'm like, I just want a practical, comfortable shoe.
I have wanted a practical, comfortable shoe since I was in my 20s. So I am not the high heels kind of girl. I have a pair of heels for when I need them, but I don't wear heels. So.
And then the other one I just remembered.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Look at you.
And then the other thing was, the other day I was on my way. I don't drive to work very often. Mm-hmm. This is for Natalie knows that. I'm telling you.
What?
Really?
Where do you go?
Yeah. So I work from home most days, but I drive into work one day a week, mainly so that I can then go to another thing that I have after work that's near where I work.
Yes.
Because I live far from...
We live far from his place of business.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work from home. But so I was on my way to work. I started feeling sick, and I had to stop. And I was near where my parents live now, and so I was like, "Hey, I don't think I can drive anymore for right now. Can I stop at your house?"
It was a sickness where you did not want to be in your car.
Right. It's one of when you're sick and you got to get out of your car. It's one of those.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Yeah, come on over." And so I went over to their house, and I went and like just sort of rested and laid down. And
this is what you told me the other day. Yes.
And so when I got up, my mom was like, "Hey, do you want some Pepto-Bismol?" And I was like, "Yeah," because that's not something that we don't keep that stocked at our house.
That's the pink stuff, right?
That's the pink stuff.
Okay.
And so I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And so she brought it to me, and I took my little dose of it out of the cap, and like within 10 minutes, my stomach was feeling a lot better, and I was like, "Man, Pepto-Bismol, we should have some of that around the house." And I went, "Oh no." Oh no.
So I'm thinking of my grandparents, and something they always have around is like Pepto.
Yeah, you gotta have the antacids
and then
around.
They also have milk of magnesia. So I'm thinking the next time we have both Pepto and milk of magnesia in our house, that's when we can officially call ourselves old.
The other day I went and ran an errand because Natalie takes a different kind of antacid fairly regularly.
Yeah.
And I was picking that up for...
We're old. We need antacids.
Well, but you have a different thing. Like you have your stomach is prone to ulcers.
I have an actual condition.
And so I was picking that up for Natalie, and right there next to it was the Pepto-Bismol. I was almost like, maybe I should just bite the bullet. Maybe I should just go ahead and pick up the good pink bottle and just arrive. I've arrived.
Then you come into your old wife and say, "Here's your antacid, and here's your antacid,
and I bought some Pepto-Bismol, and here's a bottle of probiotics that I also bought."
Which you literally did.
Right. Anyway, so the whole point is that I feel like I've aged 2 decades since we last spoke, everyone. And that's just where we are. That's where we live now.
I mean, I feel old because we've had family in town, which I absolutely love. I love to see them. I don't get to see my Oklahoma family very often. So when I do, I try to take out the time that I can to go see them. And I took Cora several places. I would take her over to my grandparents' house several times. And then also I drove to like Chattanooga. And also I drove and then after driving to Chattanooga to do the aquarium, then I also took Cora to see Rich's parents and stuff like that. And I literally have been laying on the couch all weekend exhausted because I'm like, I drove to Chattanooga.
No, yeah. So that's the other thing. I guess like
I'm just tired.
Yeah, it's like I left the
all
house
the time.
I left the house twice this week.
Yeah.
You want me to do it again?
Well, I left the house a lot more than you did this week.
You're right.
Don't.
I'm not downplaying the amount that you left the house.
Yes.
But like also just the idea of taking a nap would be so good.
Wow. I don't remember the last time I took a nap. I have to be actually sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're old.
So we're old. And sorry if you're older than us, because Rich did say his age earlier.
Yeah.
I'm actually just a little bit younger than him, so...
Yeah, and this isn't like... I know that's not... I realize that I'm not... that I'm fine, and there's not an age that you become old because there are so many people who are even older than we are who are so active. Like,
you felt old. Oh, when we were watching Black Widow. So Cora went to be with Rich's parents overnight, and they had a fun sleepover night. And then Rich and I decided to Premiere Access stream because Natalie was too tired to go to the movie theater.
We literally were like, should we go to the movies? No.
That's literally how tired I was. I was like, I don't want to get off the couch. So let's pay extra to stay home, which was amazing. But we were streaming Black Widow, and we're not talking about Black Widow, but Rich was like, Scarlett Johansson's looking a little old in this movie.
Oh, man.
Older, of course, than
like
what she was like as like her first rendition of Black Widow.
Right.
Like, I mean, that was some years ago. So Rich was like, I wonder how old Scarlett Johansson is.
She's only like 15 months older than I am.
She's just like a year older than Rich. And Rich, I think, had an existential crisis for a second because he just kept going, oh!
It hurt.
Oh!
It hurt. It hurt me to realize. And the thing is, it's not me going, that was not me going, oh, I'm as old as Scarlett Johansson.
No.
Because I don't, to be clear, like, I wasn't saying that she, and you know this, but like, I wasn't saying like, ooh, she looks old.
No, you were just saying
that you
like,
could tell that she was older.
You could tell she looked older since the last movie she was in.
Yeah.
And that's just, because we're humans. But then Rich was like, oh my goodness, she's my age.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that.
You always want the person you're watching on TV to be older than you so that you don't feel like you've done nothing with your life.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So then there was one more thing I wanted to talk about before we started talking about movies. And that is sort of a fandom thing. And this, again, it's not really in sort of our niche. So I'm sorry to like take us on a tangent. But I felt really strongly about this over the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, whatever platform we have, which again is not a tall platform, but whatever platform we have, I wanted to really quick talk about like how terrible like gatekeeping is in like nerd fandoms like Star Wars and Dungeons and Dragons and all the sort of things that we like really enjoy. Nerd stuff mainly. I just wanted to talk about this because something I haven't had a chance to do in a while because most of what I consume over the last year and a half has been for the podcast, and most of that I enjoy. So like that's no complaint, but I haven't like had a real chance to go back and watch like the Star Wars movies, which I enjoy. But another thing is that like, we've talked about this before, and you are free to disagree with me, fellow adult, but I really enjoy the sequel Star Wars movies. I think that they're a lot of fun. I think they look really cool. I
much prefer the sequels over the prequels.
I like them all. So I know. We can have our whole.
We won't go over Star Wars.
But my point is,
it has been a point of contention in our marriage.
Well, not in our marriage, just like maybe in our
as
friendship.
Friends.
Yeah. So I really enjoy those, but I've had a hard time going back and watching them because while I really enjoy them, I also acknowledge that there's some weird things about the sequels. And bear with me for a moment while I talk about this particularly, because I think this applies across a lot of things. So I recognize there's a lot of things, but I have fun when I watch them.
Yeah.
But I've been having trouble lately, like watching them mainly because I remember all the like really toxic stuff that people put out about how much they hate it.
People have jaded your point of view.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't not see all the negative stuff.
Sure.
And so I haven't watched them in a second. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to, call out, this is if you're like a big Star Wars, you gotta be a big Star Wars nerd to enjoy this YouTube channel I'm gonna recommend. It's called Ordinary Adventures. It's
Adventures?
Adventures.
Okay.
Ordinary Adventures.
I couldn't tell if you said adventures or adventurers.
Oh, no. Adventures.
Okay.
And this is a couple who basically have, I don't know where they got their money, but they have lots of it. And
there's a lot of people in this world.
And their thing they love the most is Star Wars. And they, from what I can tell, are like me. They, at whatever comes out that's Star Wars, they're like, give me more of it. Like I just, they enjoy everything that comes out. And they talked about in one thing they do is like go every like couple of weeks and buy another lightsaber from like the Disney World like shop where it's like $250 a pop.
So they live close to Disney World.
Yeah, fairly close.
Okay.
And so they go in, they get these, and they were talking about one of the ones from that they were buying from the sequels. And the girl was like, if you can't tell, this is the one I'm here for today. And she was wearing a Rise of Skywalker t-shirt with like Rey on it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is like it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
To see not just people who agree with me, because I think I want to hedge the idea that you should like just be encouraged by people who agree with you, because like I said, I fully acknowledge the stuff in those movies that isn't great. But like having someone who wasn't going to say like, no, that doesn't exist to me. That ruined my childhood, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Just really, it bums me out, and it makes me not want to enjoy the things that are good that are coming out. And actually this kind of applies to the movies that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, like come to think of it.
100%. I mean, the thing is that falls on you.
Yeah.
Right. It's not someone else's problem. Like, mm-hmm. I have a problem with the prequels.
Yeah.
I really do. I think they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But that shouldn't keep you from liking the prequels.
Right.
And I will argue with you from dusk till dawn why the prequels are terrible.
Yeah.
But I never expect you to change your mind about something you love.
Right.
Because of how I feel. But a lot of people do that. They expect everyone to hate the thing that they hate.
Well, or even just to like. So there's even two sides of this sort of toxic thing. I'm going to keep using Star Wars because that's the thing that I know best. But like I said, this happens in video games. This happens in other movie fandoms. Like this happens in all the superhero movies. So if that's a thing that you're into, if you're into a nerd thing, there are people like this in your community. On both sides, there's people who are like, no, the new stuff is trash and it's not real. Mm-hmm. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is just watered down 3.5. I only played 3.5 edition.
Can you guys tell we're nerds? We're hardcore nerds. I'm
not gonna watch all these new Marvel movies are trash because they don't pay enough respect to their comics and that kind of thing. So there's all that kind of people, but there's also people who are like, and I was almost like this for a second, because I personally agree with this philosophy. There are also people who are like, you're not a true fan unless you want to consume it all. So there are other people who I think have an equally sort of toxic effect. Well, maybe not equally, because there's like a lot of negativity on the other side, but there are also people who are like, who gatekeep in another way, where it's like, if you want to accept everything, then you're out. You're out of the club too. Right. You're out of the club.
I mean, what it boils down to is like what you like and don't care what other people think about it.
And this is sort of what we've talked about when we've done sort of the like, let's talk about art for a second in the last few episodes, is like, me enjoying these movies doesn't make you have to watch them.
Right.
And me enjoying the prequels doesn't. Like, if you can be a Star Wars fan and not like the prequels, you just don't watch them. And you watch the parts that you like and enjoy those parts.
I know everything there is to know about the prequels. Right. I've seen them several times.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm less of a Star Wars fan than someone else out there. Right. I just kind of, choose more of what I would like to consume versus what I don't like to consume.
Right.
Some things give me the heebie-jeebies, like Hayden Christensen. And some things don't. And that's not anybody's problem but mine.
There's a I'm so sorry if you're not a Star Wars fan and you're listening to this episode. There was a really like touching moment after Disney bought Lucasfilm. They were going to do another, every year there had been a Star Wars convention called Celebration, and it was going to be the first Celebration convention post Disney purchase.
Which I have to say, you've been to Celebration, and you have his signature. Whose signature?
I have actually a couple signatures. I have Peter Mayhew's signature, who played Chewbacca and has now passed away. Which is really, really cool. He signed my pass.
It's not cool that he passed away.
No. I'm sorry.
It's cool the signature.
It's cool that he signed it.
Yes.
He signed my pass, and I also got this less important. But I I also got the signature of the guy who plays Greedo.
Yeah.
He also signed my pass.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like I had a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Peter Mayhew was the biggest person at the one that I was at.
You spent almost all your money on Peter Mayhew.
So I got his, and then it was like, I've got $10. I'd like another. And
Greedo.
Yeah, it's like Greedo. That'd be cool. And so that guy signed it too. So yes, I have been to Celebration. It was a lot of fun. But the first Celebration post Disney purchase, Hayden Christensen. They wanted to bring everyone, so they got everyone that they could.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen didn't go to Celebration because people dumped on him so much.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just didn't like his portrayal, which I think like over the years people have said.
Well, bless his heart, he did not do a fantastic job.
Well, I mean, I think most people...
He was a very young actor, and I feel like that showed. Well, but we're not going to go into...
I'm just going to say, I think a lot of people agree now that, like, yes, he was a fresh actor, but also a lot of the problems in that movie weren't even him.
Oh, no.
Because he was in a lot of really great movies at the same time. And he did a good job.
He read the lines he was given
to him.
I'm sorry, this is turning into a Star Wars podcast. We need to wrap this up.
I know, I'm almost done.
Okay.
There's just a really touching moment because he was there. And when he came out, he got this huge ovation from everyone that was there.
Yeah.
Which he had been avoiding.
I thought you said he didn't go.
He did go. He
had
not been going to Celebration.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But he came to this one.
First one he had gone to. Okay.
He came to this one, and they did an interview with him, and he was like, I just couldn't believe it. He was like, he felt like he was back. He felt like he was back, and I just thought it was such a touching thing for him.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yes, we have talked about this now for a while.
We could talk about Star Wars.
My point is,
we're going
to talk about two movies for the rest of this episode that are like fresh takes on old things.
Absolutely.
And the first one we're going to talk about is Scoob.
Scoob, which I have talked about on this podcast. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching is hard to say because we didn't really have cable until I was we didn't have cable until I was older. But there were times when we would watch TV, like at my grandparents' house or something, and we loved watching Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? So were you you didn't watch as much Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah, I was familiar, but it was I think it was like, I think I got to the point with Scooby-Doo where I was like, once I had watched about 10 episodes, I was like, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing over and over, but it's fun. So watching Scoob, by the way, which was a film that just came out last year, it was a lot of fun. It kind of took me back a little bit to those times when I was watching it.
Yeah. So, Scoob is a new one.
I just said that it was released last year.
I'm sorry. I was trying to get information pulled up on it while you were talking about.
You weren't listening.
I was listening, but not apparently all the way. So this is a new one. This one sort of goes back and it does an origin.
Yes.
For Scoob.
Yeah, we see how Scooby and Shaggy meet, and we see how Scooby and Shaggy and the rest of the gang meet. So Scooby and Shaggy meet first.
Uh-huh.
Well,
yeah.
We see them meet first, just as neither one of them have friends.
Yeah.
And it's really cute because Shaggy's trying to have a picnic with people that he's built out of sand.
Yeah, his family's like, you need to go make some friends, and so he goes and makes sand people on the beach.
It's the saddest thing. But he's having a picnic and he's talking to these people he's made out of sand, and Scooby's there and he comes out and he's like, I like sandwiches too, so let's eat a sandwich together. So then they become friends, and he gives him his collar. He gives him the Scooby collar, and he's like, we're going to be best friends forever. Then Halloween night happens. Mm-hmm. They're going around trick-or-treating, and they don't want to go into this particular house because it's haunted.
Right.
But then... some bullies show up. bullies
the most
show
conscientious bullies.
Bullies show up, and they're like, give us your candy. And they're like, no. And they're like, when you say conscientious, you mean because of that?
What they do when they come up and threaten them, they say they try and take their candy, and they're like, "You don't need to eat all this candy;
right.
It's bad for you."
Right, I was gonna say
it's
like it like hurts your teeth, like, and then the bullies take it away and throw it into the window.
And this widow is walking by, and throw it right at her
into the window of the haunted house, and these bullies are like being mean. But who was to show up? But Freddie, Daphne, and Velma as children.
Who are already friends. We didn't see them become friends. They're already friends. Freddie's dressed as like this knight in shining armor, and Daphne's dressed as Wonder Woman. Yep.
And Velma's dressed as Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yep. It was pretty funny.
So they were like, no, well, let's go get your candy. And they're like, and so they go in, and that's when they demask their first ghost. And it becomes this friendship where they become Mystery Inc.
That sounds
Why am I
right.
feeling like that's not right? But I think that's right.
Yeah, Mystery Inc.
Yeah, they become Mystery Inc. And that's what they do. They go around and they demask, they debunk ghosts.
And the implication is that, so then there's a flash forward of the Wikipedia page says that it's a 10-year jump, and the implication is that like we see the intro, we see the beginning, and then all the adventures of Scooby-Doo happen, and then we sort of pick up on like, okay, now we're up to date,
right,
kind of thing.
So do you want to take over for a little bit? I've been talking a lot.
No, it's fine. So they, I'm trying to remember. They're wanting to,
Cowell.
they're wanting to like expand the business of Mystery Inc. and they need an investor. And Simon Cowell as Simon Cowell.
All of it's animated, by the way. This
yeah.
is not live action. This is animated. So Simon Cowell as Simon Cowell, voicing Simon Cowell.
He comes in and basically has a business meeting with them, and he's not impressed by Scooby and Shaggy.
No, he's like, I would love for Mystery Inc. to continue, and I am willing to invest in this, but you have to get rid of Scooby and Shaggy.
Yeah. And
because they're too bonkers, I guess.
Yeah. So they kind of wander off. They leave because their feelings get hurt, and they go to this bowling alley. And while they're at the bowling alley, they get attacked by shape-shifting robots.
Yes.
Like happens.
Like happens in a weird bowling alley.
And they end up getting rescued by this like superhero, which is which is unexpected. It doesn't feel.
I felt okay. So this movie, it felt like they could have done without the superhero aspect, but the superhero brought on another level of learning. The superhero had to learn to kind of like be himself and not live in someone else's shadow. And then of course, like this superhero is kind of one of those daft. We've been watching a lot of Doctor Who, so I have a lot of British words in my head.
Silliness.
So he's kind of I can only think of British words.
That's okay. Go
which
ahead.
Are dull and daft and thick.
Yeah.
He's not interested super much in being a superhero. So I can see where the like learning happens, like because he learns to be himself and to be a superhero and stuff. But this is Scooby-Doo. It feels like not superhero. It shouldn't necessarily be superhero to me.
Well, there's several things in this that are like that. So, we won't do
it's a very new take on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Well, and it's different too. So we won't do like a full beat by beat necessarily breakdown.
Right.
So they get rescued by this superhero who's like a superhero that Shaggy really looked up to as a child, the Blue Falcon.
But wasn't that his like dad or his?
So yeah. So it's the Blue Falcon, but like the original Blue Falcon has retired, and now the son's taking up the mantle, and the son's like, I don't know what to do.
The son's not as into it.
But he has a sidekick called Dino Mutt.
Yes.
Who is voiced by
Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong.
Yes.
And he's really good. And the sidekick superhero Dee Dee Skies. And so they have this sort of like team that actually they're real live crime fighters.
Yeah.
And like Dynamite is like basically Inspector Gadget, but a dog. Like he has like extendo parts, and he's basically just a robot with a real dog's head on.
And Blue Falcon, or son of Blue Falcon, who is now Blue Falcon, is also voiced by Mark Wahlberg.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which you can tell if you,
right?
I mean,
just listening.
he's got that voice. He just has the voice.
So yeah, they get picked up by them, and it turns out that Scooby is being pursued because he's connected to this like ancient myth about Alexander the Great and Alexander the Great's like mystical treasure. And it turns out that the villain of the movie, Dick Dastardly, is trying to uncover all the clues he needs to unlock this treasure.
Which I think if you're a old Scooby-Doo fan, you will recognize Dick Dastardly.
So this is what I was looking at before when
you tuned me out for a little bit,
just for a second, because I had to find the information on Dick Dastardly.
Right. Dick
Dastardly is like an old Hanna-Barbera, if you like that kind of. So he made an appearance in several things. Mm-hmm. But the main thing that he tended to show up in was Yogi Bear. Okay.
See, I felt like when we were watching this, because I don't even know why, because maybe the squirrel, Rocky and Bullwinkle,
mm-hmm.
Are they Hanna-Barbera?
I'm not sure, and
as we were watching it, I felt like he was a Rocky and Bullwinkle villain,
mm-hmm.
because he has the dog with him, the sidekick dog. But maybe I'm thinking of someone different.
Maybe
because he did not feel like he
didn't belong there.
He didn't belong in Scooby-Doo, but he was recognizable.
Right.
Yeah.
So just a quick rundown. So Dick Dastardly first showed up in the late 60s in a show called Wacky Races, and he was like the bad guy racer in that show. And that was like a Hanna-Barbera thing, and then it spun out into he started making appearances. So like he and Muttley had their own show called Dastardly and Muttley and Their Flying Machines. And then he showed up in Yogi stuff. And then he went back and forth, and like this racing thing would come back every now and then. So he would show up there too.
So he's a recognizable villain as far as like old animation and cartoons go, but he doesn't feel like he belongs in Scooby-Doo. But it's just because he's a part of different types of animation that Hanna-Barbera did.
It looks like through the years he's shown up in basically almost a lot of things now that are now owned by Cartoon Network. He's shown up at a lot of Cartoon Network things. It's just a generic villain.
Cartoon Network.
Right.
Cartoon Network is creepy.
Sure, sometimes.
Cartoon Network is creepy.
Natalie's putting her foot down. Yes. Cartoon Network is creepy.
It is.
Okay.
I mean, if you think of just let's continue.
Okay.
We can talk about Cartoon Network another time.
They tended to do more, a little more grown up.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, a little more grown up stuff.
Yes, they did scary things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other way that Scoob is a little bit different from normal Scooby-Doo is there's real magic and real ghosts in this one, gang.
Real magic. There's real ghosts. Well, it's not cyber. So they are tackling the Cerberus?
The Cerberus.
Cerberus. And he is an ancient.
Yeah.
He's an ancient being.
Yeah. And he's huge.
It's like a 3-headed dog or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like mythical Greek type of thing.
Yeah.
Which they do.
The big battle happens in Athens.
Right. That's the point of it. So it's a mythical thing rather than a guy dressed up in a costume with wires, which is the usual shtick for Scooby-Doo.
Right.
Yeah.
There is, I will spoil this one thing at the end.
Well, all of this, everyone should know these are always spoilers.
I know. I just want to say, because this is there's a lot of fun moments in this movie. We're talking about how it doesn't feel like a normal Scooby-Doo. It's pretty fun.
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not traditional Scooby-Doo.
Right.
Yeah.
But they do throw in a lot of the tropes. So like there are moments when they run through a bunch of doors chasing each other, and then the wrong person chasing the wrong person, they run into each other.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, they they have Dick Dastardly trapped, and they're like, let's see who's really behind this. And they're all like, what? And they go to rip off, and he rips off Dick Dastardly's face, and Simon Cowell is there. And they go, Simon Cowell! And he's like, oh, all you kids, I would have gotten away with it too. And they're like,
this
wait
doesn't make sense.
And they pull it again, and it's Dick Dastardly again under Simon Cowell. He goes, oh, drat, they never go for the double mask reveal.
So Dick Dastardly had on Simon Cowell's face, which had on Dick Dastardly's face.
Right. So it's
ridiculous.
Yeah. So they do all the tropes for Scooby-Doo. It's a lot of fun. It's everyone learns more about themselves. Everyone's friendships are challenged, and ultimately they come together to be best friends.
Friendship is the name of the game with this movie. It's Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and their original friendship being tested in a way.
The secret was friendship. The secret was inside them all along. All that. So that's Scoob.
That's Scoob.
It's fun.
It's fun. If you're a Scooby-Doo fan, you'll enjoy it. I just wanted to really quick.
We didn't talk about the cast.
We didn't talk about the cast.
Go ahead and run it down.
Scooby-Doo is played by Frank Welker, who very often plays Scooby-Doo. He is the only member of the original cast. He very often played Scooby-Doo, but he also was Fred. But he is not Fred.
Not in this one.
He's not Fred in this
also,
one.
worth mentioning while we're talking about Scooby-Doo, Scoob talks a lot in this movie.
Scoob talks full sentences.
Yeah, he's not just Raggy.
Raggy is a gross.
There's
It's
like, Raggy, you're my best friend, and I will never leave you ever. And it's like, that's how...
We were sitting there going, why is Scooby talking so much?
Yeah, he talks a lot. It's just a lot. It's not... I mean, it's fine.
No,
it's more than he's ever talked before.
He just talks. He talks like a real dog.
Yeah. So I mentioned Mark Wahlberg plays Brian, the new Blue Falcon.
Yes. Will Forte is Shaggy. Mm-hmm. Gina Rodriguez is Velma. And I wanted to mention really quickly is that they made Velma more Latina. Mm-hmm. And she says some Spanish words, and she has a little bit of, I've noticed, darker skin that they animated, and I'm like, super cool. Yeah. Like, they made Velma more Latina, and that's one little thing that is a little bit different, but I think that was needed.
Yeah.
Zac Efron is Fred.
Of course he is.
Which I think Zac Efron doesn't do very many animated voiceovers. Yeah. So when I was listening, I was like, okay. Because
it's hard to tell.
We like to listen when we're doing animated movies. We like to listen and see like, okay, we know this is mostly a star-studded kind of cast. And we're trying to listen so we knew like Mark Wahlberg pretty quickly. But we were listening. I was like, okay, I know that voice, but it doesn't feel like a normal animation voice. And it was Zac Efron. And then Amanda Seyfried, I can never say her name correctly, is Daphne. Mm-hmm. We also have, like we said, Ken Jeong is the robot dog. Yes. And Dick Dastardly is played by Jason Isaacs.
It's so good. It's such a weird role for Jason Isaacs, and I really like it a lot.
Then we have Simon Cowell and several other. Henry Winkler?
I was just gonna say Henry Winkler's in here as one of Blue Falcon's like assistants in their base when they get there, so that's funny.
That is funny.
Christina Hendricks is in here as Officer Jaff, who is a another disguise. So like there's a moment when they think that the police are like handling something, and it turns out that this officer is actually Dick Dastardly. But while
yes, that's Christina Hendricks. Yes,
and they also for a moment they're sort of out in the woods, and they're trying to track the MacGuffin in this is they're trying to track down these 3 ancient dog skulls that end up making the Cerberus. And so they have to go out in the woods to go find one of these, and there's this like mountain cavemen tribe out there, and the chief of the cavemen is Tracy Morgan.
Yes. I remember sitting there and listening for voices again, and I was like, Tracy Morgan, because you can only hear him in my brain say like Liz Lemon because of 30 Rock. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to not hear him as not as Tracy Morgan.
Right. One more, I really liked this, and I only realized this really recently. And I don't know to what degree this is like a tribute or if they just needed a name, but the laugh for Muttley, they used like the original like archival sound of Muttley. He has like a really iconic laugh that has always been used. That Muttley is like the psychic dog for Dick Dastardly. And so they used the original one, which was voiced by Don Messick. The mountain where everything like sort of comes to a head in this movie is Messick Mountain. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's a tribute to Don Messick or if they just need a name or if they didn't even realize it feels too coincidental for them to have just chosen a random name and they came out with Messick. But I thought that was kind of cool. It seems like they did a little bit of a tribute to Don Messick.
Which tracks, because they also have a quick appearance of a police officer named Officer Casey, who they named after Casey Kasem. Oh,
and also I meant to say with Officer Jaff, Jaff was was named after Nicole Jaff, who was the original voice of Velma.
So there's a lot of tributes happening in this film to the original series.
Yeah. So anyway, it's good. It's fun.
Yeah.
We found it because we're on HBO Max now, so you probably have to find it there unless you already have it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We're taking kind of a late break, so I might have to get creative with how we do the break. But let's take a quick break because we've been driving a long time. Stop in Promoville. And we're back. Everybody get up. It's time to slam now.
Oh, dear.
We got a real jam going now.
Do you guys remember one of our earlier episodes?
I want to say like in the low 20s.
We called up my sweet baby brother, Benjamin, and his wife, Catherine. And we spoke. Ben and I had grown up with Space Jam. You had as well?
Yeah. Not as like...
we were deep into it.
Not as deep into it as you were, but yes, definitely a fan of Space Jam as a kid.
And Catherine, at the time, had seen it the time of our recording for the podcast. So it was fun. We were able to speak about new watchers and old watchers and everything like that. We got HBO Max again.
We got it.
Therefore, I think the first thing...
we got it almost...
literally minutes after we got it, we started watching...
Space Jam,
A New Legacy. I'm going to go ahead and say that a couple of things I'm going to pull from, some knowledge that I'm pulling from, is going to be from an episode of My Brother and Me.
Right, because they did a watch, a Space Jam watch.
They did. They talked about Space Jam. Well, they didn't do a watch, but
no, you're right,
they talked about Space Jam, and they talked about some of the details of it, and some of those are kind of sticking out at me at this moment, fixing to talk about it. So I'm just saying, like, full disclosure, some of the things that were brought to my attention, or to our attention, probably came from My Brother and Me.
I noticed, I will say I noticed a lot of things that they talked about too. So yeah.
Space Jam: A New Legacy. We got LeBron.
LeBron's in this one. He right from the jump. I'm gonna say I want to set the stage and say these words. I'm just gonna say it. Space Jam 1 is a classic, and it's not a good movie.
Yes. Thank you. Absolutely. It is a classic movie. You should watch it. It is not a good movie.
It's not very good.
You should watch it.
It's mainly good for the cartoons and just kind of Michael Jordan's there.
Yeah.
Like when we watched it before, I was talking about this to someone too. They're like, one of our friends was like, I don't know if I can watch it because I love the original so much. I was like, yeah, but if you remember the original, about half of the movie is like just straight on camera pointed at Michael Jordan. Like, okay, Michael, your next line is this. And then I deliver the line.
Pretend you're talking to Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like interaction with Michael in the original movie.
Right.
There's a lot more in this one.
Yeah.
LeBron James is a better actor than Michael Jordan.
LeBron James, let's stop right there. LeBron James is a better actor than Michael Jordan.
And they're both not good.
LeBron James is not a good actor.
Yes, no one is saying that LeBron James is a good actor.
No, we're just saying he did a better job at acting than Michael Jordan did. But he is not an actor.
Right.
Yes.
And nothing we just said has any bearing on who we think is the greatest basketball player of all time.
I don't care.
Right. That's mainly the reason, is that we don't care a lot. But he's in this one. I'll say the one thing that they pointed out on My Brother and Me that I also noticed is like, it's another one where his family is very involved in this one.
Right.
We obviously can tell that it's not his wife in this movie because it's Sonequa Martin Green.
Right.
But also his kids are not in this one, nor are the kids in this movie named after his real life kids.
Right, exactly. So in the original Space Jam, Michael Jordan's children are played by his children, and I
think that's true.
At least his wife is played by his wife. I'm pretty sure. And they're I believe they've... Now I feel like I'm being wrong because now you're doing research.
No, I'm just double checking. That's all I'm doing.
I really thought that was...
So. I thought so too, but I'm double checking.
Okay. Because that's one of the things that's a little bit different in this one is that LeBron James plays LeBron James, but the people that play his wife and children are not his actual wife and children, and they actually use different names than his children. Did you find it?
Michael Jordan's real kids were not in the movie, but the names of the kids in the movie are his real kids' names.
But that was his wife, right? Why did I feel like that's his actual wife?
Was Michael Jordan's wife in Space Jam? Thank you, Google. No.
Oh, shoot. Well, okay. So, why did I really think that they kind of made an appearance?
I truly don't know. I kind of thought that too. But I guess the difference is like they at least used real names in the original Space Jam. Maybe that's why. Because they used real names.
Their real names.
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Well, LeBron's actual family does not play his family in the movie, and they actually do not use their actual names.
And their names are changed.
Yes. Okay.
There is that. Also, this is something that I actually appreciated. But well, hang on. Before I get there, another thing that was pointed out is none of this movie takes place in space.
No.
Although
Space
it was pointed
Jam,
out
at the beginning, at the original, does take place on an alien planet.
Yep.
That has Looney Tunes on it.
Yeah.
And does take place with aliens.
Yeah.
So the Monstars are aliens.
It's been suggested that it takes place in cyberspace.
Right.
But no one at any point I don't even remember them ever saying the word space in the movie. They take a lot of time to talk about what do they call it? There's like a name. There's like a name that the villain's character uses for like the area that they're in. I can't remember.
It's not the Matrix, but it's
it could
something
have been,
like
because
that.
They have Matrix references.
Okay, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
In this movie, every single thing that Warner Brothers has ever done in their existence is in this movie.
Yeah.
So when LeBron James, okay.
Yeah, just deep breath and let's do it.
Everybody, just let's do it. LeBron James's son, Dom, doesn't care about basketball. What? You mean a basketball player's son may not care about basketball as much? Ugh, well, ridiculous.
So here's the thing. This is how they set the stage. The movie opens with young LeBron sitting on the bench.
Wanting to play a video game.
Yeah, he's got a Nintendo Game Boy in his hands.
Yes.
And he's playing that, not paying attention to the basketball game that he is
fixing
ostensibly going to be playing in at some point. And the coach gets mad at him.
The coach who we recognize only as Julius.
Right, Julius from Remember the Titans. That's right.
Which we don't even know his real name.
I can't remember his real name.
We just said, bad. Is that Julius?
Yeah. But he gets on and he's like, if you're going to do this, you got to have your whole head in the game. You can't be talking about video games. And then it cuts to the opening credits. It moves over and the game he's playing is like a Looney Tunes video game on the Game Boy.
Right.
It's also in color, which we just talked about the Game Boy, y'all. That wasn't in color.
So
come on.
The beginning happens a lot like the original Space Jam, which kind of follows Michael Jackson's career. Michael Jordan's.
It's a whole different movie.
Sorry.
A whole different movie.
It follows Michael Jordan's career at the beginning credits. Mm-hmm. It does this again with LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I really like the opening credits. The opening credits look really cool.
Yeah.
But then they flash forward, and LeBron's son Dom is like, not only is he not super interested in basketball,
he's super into video games.
But he's like a video game developer.
He makes video games.
He's like 12.
But LeBron James just... You got to get your head in the game, Dom.
Yeah, the only thing that exists is basketball. If you ever want to be good about, and he even is like, what if I don't want to play basketball? He's like, that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't understand. What did you just say? What were the words that just came out of your mouth?
I don't understand. We have a facility that like, you just have to say, they have this machine, he goes, ball, and it throws him a ball.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they have this like custom court that him and his older brother are practicing on.
Yeah.
Older brother? I think older brother.
I think so, yes.
And the older brother's really into basketball, so so Dom is like, he feels like he's a little on the outskirts.
Accepted. He's not accepted by his father, who wants him to play basketball, who is a basketball star.
Yeah.
This kid doesn't want to play basketball. He wants to develop video games.
But the thing is, he's working on a video game that is based on basketball. It's inspired by his...
He makes a video game. A basketball video game.
It's basically, and honestly, y'all,
it's NBA.
It's exactly NBA Jam.
It is.
Pretty much exactly. It's NBA Jam was a 2-on-2 game. It's a 1-on-1, like you get power ups, and like if you hit the right place on the court, you can hit the shot from anywhere.
But
it's NBA Jam.
Does this technology even exist that he's using? By the way, you guys. If this doesn't make sense to you, go watch this movie really quickly and then come back to this because this isn't going to make sense to you. Does this technology even exist? This camera that he sticks onto his phone that just like scans things and puts them into his computer?
So here's the deal. Yeah.
It does?
There's a moment.
I'm old.
So here's the thing. It doesn't work the way that it works in the movie.
Yeah.
So what he does is he wants to like, he's making... basketball players in his game that are like based on real player stats, but also are like spliced together with like creatures or
hybrids.
Objects. Yeah. So the way he does that, he has this like special camera that I think later in the movie they say like he developed, which for me is like, okay, we've jumped over a big shark here to get to not only is this kid a genius game developer, which I could believe because like computers will let you do almost anything now, but also that he like designed this camera technology. Some children are very smart. Yeah. But then that he also like created this camera. It's like almost I guess they don't say that he developed the camera, but they're like, you developed the program that lets the camera do this
technology or whatever.
But here's the deal. Yes, cameras really do this. So when people are modeling 3D 3D objects in like virtual reality for virtual reality things. That's essentially what they do. They get like they have specialized cameras that like take really high res images from every angle.
But is it literally a camera you can snap onto your phone? Is it that small?
I mean, a friend of mine modeled.
Okay.
A friend of mine modeled a 3D environment with his iPhone camera.
Oh, okay.
So it's
y'all. I'm not technologically inclined.
Yeah.
Really at all. I know like the basics. Like if it doesn't work, turn it off. Turn it back on again.
Yeah, because we watch the IT Crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that kind of thing is real, but it's like. It's much more. It's like what they do in this movie is much different.
So Dom wants to make video games. He wants to make a basketball video game because that's kind of what connects him to his dad, but also what separates him from his dad.
Yeah.
So overall, what happens is Sarah Silverman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sarah Silverman is trying to the character played by Sarah Silverman.
She has a cameo in this movie, but we're going to make it sound like she's the mastermind. Go on.
Is trying to pitch this animated reality thing.
So this is another thing that's pretty real.
Yeah.
And this is actually what for me like made the movie like a little bit grounded and is that. So they propose this thing, which is similar to what Dom is doing, which is that we're going to scan you, LeBron, and then you don't have to be here.
Right.
You can.
We're just going to make movies with you in it.
We're going to drop LeBron into movies, and then you just get paid.
And LeBron's like, no, not interested. Sorry, this is weird.
Yeah.
And he walks off, and Dom is with him, and they kind of get in a little bit of a fight because Dom's like, this is cool, like, or this is like what I do, or...
I just want to point out, though, that before we move on, because that is a thing.
Yeah.
That happens in movies right now.
Right.
If you're familiar like with the term deep fakes, a lot of times these like, so if you watch a Marvel movie where someone's been like way aged down, sometimes that's the actor and they've just like digitally aged them back. And sometimes that's a different actor that they've just splatted someone else's face on.
Right.
And so like,
this happens.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So, what brought this on was that Don Cheadle.
now Don Cheadle. You know Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle is in a computer.
Remember Don Cheadle from the Marvel movies and the Ocean's movies? Well, he's in this one.
Don Cheadle is in a computer, but he's not Don Cheadle anymore. He's algorithm. So if you guys think about it really hard, it's like algorithm.
It's algorithm. That's the joke.
But he's algorithm. He is the computer, basically. He's the algorithm. And he's really wanting LeBron. He's really wanting to scan LeBron and to get him into his network and everything.
Well, it's his idea. The idea to put LeBron in movies was the algorithm's idea.
But then LeBron says, don't like this idea. This is a dumb idea. And algorithm.
That hurts Don Cheadle's feelings.
Don Cheadle doesn't like it.
Yeah.
His feelings get hurt.
Yeah, his digital feelings
like,
get hurt.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna steal your son.
Yep.
As we're talking about it, it's ridiculous.
I know. So he tricks Dom into coming down into like the server area.
They're both in this
where he Don Cheadle, remember him? Where Don Cheadle has the ability to create a portal into the Warner Brothers servers.
Oh, and it's okay. So he steals Dom and says to LeBron, the only way you're gonna get Dom and humanity back, basically, is if you beat me in a basketball game.
Yeah. So Don Cheadle's idea is.
I'm saying it's ridiculous. Becoming more and more ridiculous.
So remember the first Space Jam movie? In the first Space Jam movie, in the first Space Jam movie, there's these aliens on a planet, and they're like, "We need a new attraction."
Yes.
And they see the greatest star on planet Earth at the time, Michael Jordan,
Michael Jackson,
Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And they say, "Let's get him." And the way and then the Looney Tunes get involved, and he wants to save himself, and so he has to play a basketball game
to save himself,
to save his life.
But
in this
now,
one, Dom, who's designed a video game based on basketball, has resentment feelings towards his father, and Don Cheadle's going to use that.
I love how we're using Don Cheadle as that's who it is.
Don Cheadle's going to use that to get to LeBron James and pit him and his son against in a video game basketball battle. That for some reason also is going to steal like humanity. So if he doesn't win, if LeBron James doesn't win, not only will he not be able to hug his son again, but also all the people in the world will belong to Warner Brothers.
So we're talking about it. It's just so much more ridiculous.
So
can you guys stop? Please stop this podcast right now.
You gotta watch it.
Please. And just go watch this movie and then you'll get it.
So then he's like, you got 24 hours, put together a team, and then boop, and kicks him into the Warner servers. And then there's like this thing of him like floating past like planets. Mm-hmm. So it's meant to look like there are little like mini planets that are for each IP, each individual property.
Yes.
So he flies past a Harry Potter planet, and he flies past a Matrix planet,
right?
And he flies past a DC planet,
and he lands in Looney Tune planet,
and he ends up landing on Toon World, where the only inhabitant is Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny, yes, and Bugs Bunny's like, well, Warner Brothers stole everyone.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's like
they all went to different IPs.
Yeah, they went to go be. And this is the part that really bugs me about this movie, actually.
Is the part?
Yeah, it does. Because
how long have we gone?
So long. This is a long one. Just buckle up.
Buckle up. This is going to be a while.
So it's not that they stole them. It's that they're like, they left to go because they weren't being used.
Right.
Which is a thing. Like the Looney Tunes have kind of fallen out
isn't a thing anymore much. Yeah.
And so they went out to become other things, and like, so, like, Daffy Duck took over being Superman.
Right. And Daffy Duck went into Superman IP. Wile E. Coyote went into Mad Max.
Yep. He became. You remember the guys on the Mad Max movie that spray paint their mouth silver? He becomes one of those guys.
Yeah. Lola was in the Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Lola was
becoming an Amazon in Wonder Woman.
Several things where they have to go and pick up each of these people, each of these characters in these different IPs, literally in them.
But what's funny is, here's the thing.
Oh, Granny's in the Matrix.
In the Matrix. She is Trinity.
She does the whole Matrix thing. What do you call that?
The Matrix thing.
The Matrix thing. Right.
You all remember that classic thing that
Trinity does in the Matrix.
That Carrie-Anne Moss does in the Matrix. Well, that's the thing that she does.
Yeah.
This is what drives me nuts about this movie is LeBron has the right idea. LeBron goes, okay, I'm in Warner Brothers. What do I have at my disposal? He's like, okay, cool. We got Superman. We got Batman. We got a lot of strong people in Warner Brothers. I'm going to go pick up all the strong guys, and that'll be my basketball team, because he has to assemble his team. Mm-hmm. And Bugs is like, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to make the whole team Looney Tunes.
Right.
And LeBron...
We've done this before, LeBron.
And LeBron is like, but I think it might be a better... Like, imagine if instead of a Looney Tune, I had Superman on my team. And he's like, well, no, we're going to go with Looney Tunes. So, yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk forever about this because but there's so much... Let's just move on to the inevitable basketball game.
So the basketball game happens.
And Don Cheadle, because I keep forgetting his algae rhythm.
The actor Don Cheadle.
The actor Don Cheadle, the real life human being John Cheadle, brings everyone from the Warner Brothers Cineverse, and also everyone in the world.
Basically, what he did was he used the scanning technology that Dom had created to use his ability to bring them into the world in the server room, to pull people, anyone who was watching the basketball thing. He does like a big marketing thing that gets it on everyone's phone. So whoever has the app and is watching it, they get literally pulled into
the phones,
the world.
pulled into the algorithm.
So half of the audience are real life people whose lives are on the line, and the other half are fictional characters from Warner Brothers things, mainly the villains.
So we're literally sitting here watching a basketball game between... Guys, listen to this sentence. We're here watching a basketball game between LeBron James and his son Dom, who is coached by Don Cheadle.
Yeah, the actor Don Cheadle.
LeBron James has the Looney Tunes on his side. Mm-hmm. We're watching this game along with, in the audience, we have the Mask.
The Mask is there.
We have Voldemort.
Voldemort's in there.
We have the Agent Smith.
Yep.
From the Matrix. We have the Monstars.
Yeah.
The Monstars are there. We have the scary nun lady.
The nun's in there.
The scary nun lady. If you can think of pretty much mostly villains that happen.
The Penguin from
the Penguin.
Danny DeVito's Penguin. It's not Danny DeVito, but Danny DeVito's Penguin is there, as well as Jim Carrey's Riddler. And
the Joker is there.
Both versions of the Joker
Both
are
Jokers.
there. Or what I mean by that is to say, you see Jack Nicholson's Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker are there.
Let's see. I had a list. So they do several things. The Game of Thrones bad guy is in there.
Yep, the White Walkers are there.
Shoot.
They're all there.
They're all there. Everyone's there. Mostly the bad guys though.
Yeah, I feel like
some people. Some are.
They're not all the bad guys. But the ones like hanging out by the bench. The one who you always see behind the Goon Squad. Yeah, it is there.
It is there.
The one sitting behind
King
the Goon.
Kong's there.
The ones sitting behind the Goon Squad are all the bad guys. They're the ones who were like on the Goon Squad. The Goon Squad is is Dom's team.
We got the Wicked Witch of the West is right. In there.
They make fully 3 references to the Wizard of Oz in this movie because they're like, that's Warner Brothers too. We have that one too.
It's ridiculous, guys. Like, if you think of Warner Brothers, like Rick and Morty show up, but they show up in a different part of the movie.
They have captured Taz, and they give Taz to Bugs.
And they're like, we don't want him anymore.
Oh, man.
It's redonkulous.
There's a lot of references here.
We have the basketball game. Dom versus LeBron. And Dom has on his side the creatures he has developed.
Yeah.
The professional basketball players mixed with a creature. Like they have, I don't know professional basketball players' names.
Yeah.
So just know that. They have a WNBA player mixed with a snake.
Mm-hmm. She's a snake.
And she's a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have several other players, like one that's mixed with water powers. Ruby's in with her. One that's mixed with... Sorry, I had to...
That was a quick... Let's talk about something that's happening in our life right now.
Sorry, I was just saying the dog is in with Cora. Sorry, guys. So they have these hybrid people, but also Don Cheadle has a secret weapon who is like the Kronos guy. Kronos.
Yeah, he's just a robot,
Cyberman.
A robot that controls time.
He controls time so that he slows down time and can make like 1,000 baskets in a minute.
Yeah, he can make all the baskets while everyone else is frozen.
I'm thinking like, why don't they just use Kronos all the time?
Yeah.
But they don't.
They don't.
They have him on the bench a lot of times.
Yeah, and then Don Cheadle joins in at the end too. He gets
and you
pumped
get
up.
to see a ripped Don Cheadle.
And a really fake looking Don Cheadle too. Like he's much taller and like super duper ripped.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind it.
Well, whatever. Whatever. Here's a quick thing. I just happened to get to a place where it says here are all the Warner Brothers references.
Dear.
Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mad Max, The Matrix, Casablanca, The Wizard of Oz, King Kong, Iron Giant, Rick and Morty, Austin Powers, Mortal Kombat, DC, And then also in the crowd are, it says Pennywise from It, the guys from Clockwork Orange, The Nun, Stripe, and some of the Gremlins from Gremlins, Beetlejuice, RoboCop, Yogi and Boo Boo are in there. Dick Dastardly's in there with Muttley. The Flintstones are there. The Rubbles are there. The Great Gazoo from the Flintstones is there. Scooby, Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma are all in there too, as well as all the Jetsons. Frankenstein is in there. Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. The Animaniacs are in there. Gollum from Lord of the Rings. The Goonies are in there, guys. Jim West from Wild Wild West, Batman, Robin, Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and several of the goons from the Batman TV series.
So they're all in there. They're all in the audience watching. So
oh, man.
What happens is LeBron actually, because he's the adult, he's the parent, he needs to realize
it takes him a while.
Hey Dom, you know what? You're cool.
Yeah, the things you do are amazing.
The things you do are insane. You are cool. You have my respect. You can do amazing things even if you don't care about basketball as much. Like, it's cool. We're cool.
Yeah.
And Dom's like, hey, Dad. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And he, like, goes over to the, like...
You know what, Dad? Honestly, same.
Yeah, he goes over to, like, the Toon Squad side.
Yeah.
And...
That's when Don Cheadle takes over.
Don Cheadle loses it and kind of becomes ripped and everything. And... there's a final thing that they have to do. There's a final move.
Yeah.
And it's literally called like LeBron's move or something like that.
Yeah, so LeBron has like, I guess, a signature move, which also I just have to say this looks like the most basic basketball move. It's like a pump fake and then a step back and then a fadeaway
basketball.
Shot. And
so it's like LeBron's signature move and LeBron's like, I'll do it. And Dom's like, Dad, wait. Whoever does it is going to be erased from the cyberspace and therefore erased in time.
There's a problem early in the movie where Dom is programming that character and it does the move and then it glitches and erases the character.
Glitches, that's what it is.
And so they know that if he does that move in this game, it'll crash the game and that'll allow them to escape. But whoever does it will be erased.
The character will go into cyberspace forever or whatever. So LeBron's like, I got this. I'm going to save my son. I'm going to save humanity. I'm going to save the world. So he starts doing it. But what happens? Bugs Bunny takes the ball and does the LeBron move, and therefore
he dies. He dies.
Bugs Bunny at the end
Yeah.
Of Space Jam: A New Legacy. Bugs Bunny dies.
Yeah. He's being held by all his friends, surrounded by his Toon friends.
Lola has him.
And he's like, he goes, that's all, folks. and then he like fades into sparks.
But what's the next scene?
And then right before the credits happen, we're in the real world and
LeBron's taking Dom to basketball camp, which actually LeBron's like, no, we're not going to basketball camp. We're going to...
You're going to your video game convention.
And Dom's like, thanks, Dad. And like runs off.
And turns around and Bugs Bunny's there.
And LeBron's like, I thought you died, man.
And Bugs Bunny goes, you can't kill a cartoon. That's impossible.
The end. The end.
Part of me thinks that I think the thing between LeBron and Dom where he like gets it and doesn't make him go to basketball camp after all, he can go to his video game thing. I think that part was planned, but part of me thinks that they killed Bugs Bunny in the movie, and at the end the writer's just like, I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can kill Bugs Bunny.
I don't think we can do it. We would literally be killing Bugs Bunny.
There's just one other thing. I know this is a long episode, y'all, so thanks for sticking with us. There was one other thing that I thought was weird in this, which is that the whole, like, obviously the tunes are animated and there's a lot of like sort of 3D-ish animation in the movie. There's a point when they come out and they CGI like when they have to play the game, they turn them into CGI characters,
right,
instead of 3D animated characters. And I just thought this was so funny. They become CGI and all of the Looney Tunes are like, oh, gross, what'd you do to us?
They literally go, put us back, put us back.
This is a weird one because
It's
again,
a weird movie, you guys.
Is it a good movie?
No.
Not really, but is it a fun movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'm probably gonna only see it that one time though.
I might watch it
Maybe
again.
maybe I'll watch it again later.
I want to try and catch all the references.
Yeah.
There
are so many references, so many little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
You guys, it's exhausting talking about this movie.
It's a lot. But it is a lot of fun. So we thank you for sticking with us through all of this. I
feel like that was a lot.
We did a long episode this week, but we haven't been here for a couple of weeks. So hopefully this will make up for it.
Okay.
You can listen in chunks if you need to. But we thank you for sticking with us. This has been another episode of Not Suitable for Adults. Thank you to Shad Warrell for creating our theme music. As always, you can catch his creations at soundcloud.com/Shad-Warrell. We're going to try and keep up with our episodes more, so we don't do long ones like this. You say that
every single time.
But we are going to try. Are we not going to continue to try?
We'll continue to try.
And no matter what, whether you're making a podcast or whether you're watching the TV, just never, ever, 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 ever forget that you are the boss.
And wherever you fall on the fandom, watch
That's right.
whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.